Hey, it's Kellen.
And of course, A.L.
And today, you guys, we have a treat for you all the way from Ghana. We have Laree Thomas. You can check her out while watching this or listening to this on the podcast at lareethomas.com. You might see her face and say, wait, I've seen her somewhere before. Or maybe you visited New York City, her home state. Maybe you've traveled all around the world and you've ran into her. Maybe you've seen her on various TV shows, including most recently House Hunter International, where she showed a lot of flavor to that show. Laree, welcome to the show, Diversified Game. How you doing?
I added some seasoning to the
show. We've had Richard Blanco from HGTV on here before, and before you, he was the most seasoned person, because he has a little bit of flair. But when my wife and I and the kids were watching, we said, man, that's a star over there. So, you just kind of stood out. And it was a great show. Let's jump into that since we're talking about that. How did that come about?
I've been in Ghana for it's about to be 2 years. Matter of fact, next month will be 2 years. So on a previous show that I worked with in the past, so when the producer was like, hey, I think you should do this. So I submitted a casting thingy. I forgot what it was. And they called back. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And why not document that part of my life? I think it's pretty awesome. And I'm happy with the results. They did a good job. I was kind of a little wary, like, I don't know, ain't many Black people on this show. I don't know how they're going to tell the story, but they did a good
job. Can you take our audience? Our podcast is all about getting into the nitty gritty and how things start. So here's another show. Miss Laree has been blessed many times just to be cast. Sometimes she doesn't even audition. It just comes about where maybe a friend like Tanisha will tell somebody about her. But how does it go when you go and check these houses? Do you only see 3 houses? Do you already have your house picked out? Then they show you 2 other houses? Or do you go on like a long journey of seeing many houses, but they only make it seem like it's 3?
I mean, you may have it depends on the person. I don't tell about my story, but I saw many houses, but you don't have time for that. Like, the show is only a half an hour and they have to show you a few houses and tell your story to make it interesting. Like, why should I care about you? What is so great about you that, okay, you're moving abroad, what else? So just television, right? They're gonna take the best 3 or the 3 they feel like is uniquely catered to your story and show those, because you don't have enough time to show all the houses. Most people see in like 5-10 places before they actually make a commitment, right? Nobody got time for that. Like, who want to be looking at 5-10 places on TV? Like, your attention span don't have enough of that. So you're just looking at 3. Ghana is kind of unique because of the process can be a little different when it comes to looking at places. The real estate agents here, they are usually by the district or the ward that they are familiar with. It's very few that actually can interchange within districts and interchange within cities. Not all of them can do that. So it can be a little challenging finding places here. Like, I looked in 9 different areas, and actually I lived in 9 different areas before I actually picked the place that I landed on.
Wow.
And I did that because I want to, when you move into a new country, you want to really understand the dynamics of what you're moving into. Sometimes people just jump into it and you find that they move a lot because they don't like the area. So listening to other people that did it before, I was very clear at the lifestyle I wanted to create. And since I don't like traffic, it was very important for me to find a place that can make sure that I don't be in traffic. So it was what I did. Excuse me, sorry, I'm in someone's home.
No worries.
Hi, ladies. So I'm doing an interview. Thank you. So where were we?
You were saying a New Yorker who doesn't like traffic, which was like, I hate traffic, but my goodness.
Can be like crazy. It's insane. You could be in traffic for hours. It's December. People about to find out real easy that they're gonna be in traffic for 4-6 hours just to get to the next freaking neighborhood. It's not gonna be pretty. I can't do it. So I made sure I was in a neighborhood that would not. I don't have traffic in my lifestyle. Like, nah. I figured it out.
Exactly.
I figured it out. Like, I couldn't do it.
So here's a question for you, Laree. What brought your travels from New York to Ghana, where you are right now?
I chased my roots back to Ghana a while back, but before that, I left my career and decided to travel around the world. I was traveling like every month on leisure because I was just sick of my job and I felt like I deserved it. And it was going to say nothing. So at one point, I felt like I just need to stay gone. Like I didn't care to be in America anymore. And on a journey, I spent 4.5 months in Asia, 2.5 months in Europe. And I was supposed to be in Africa for 3 months and then go to South America, but I never left Africa. I decided to stay. Like, what am I going back for? And then in South America, I can get there eventually. It's really cheap to jump around there. But here, I just felt like, I don't know, I just needed to stay. Something just told me that, like, just navigate and just stay here. Which I did. I chose Ghana because I traced my roots back here. And before I navigate and jump around to other or migrate to other African nations, I felt like it was necessary to be here first. And it came to settling.
And with that traveling, and traveling like that, go to over 35 countries and to be able to live and kind of pick up and move, can you talk about the process? Because I think last that I've seen, 70% of Americans don't have passports, which means, that's why many are ignorant. And so they don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. But most people would make the excuse and say, well, she must be rich, wealthy. Who is financing that? Is she an Instagram model? Like, how does she do that? Because I'm struggling over here and I can't travel. So can you talk about your methods on how you're able to do that?
It's easy. I just spend my money differently. I don't buy $600 shoes like some people might do.
Preach.
I buy a $600 flight. Like, it's making the same money. We just spending it differently. I like sacrifice an expensive meal so I can have an expensive meal abroad. Like, we just spending it differently. So like when I was traveling before I actually took off and just left, me and my friends used to go into places all the time and we used to sacrifice. I'm talking about we're gonna go to happy hour instead of like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna buy that Starbucks coffee, whatever. Like, you just scaling back your lifestyle so you can enjoy other things. Because I prefer spending my money on experiences rather than materials. Like, I don't spend a lot of money shopping and doing. I used to actually, but my dynamics of how I wanted to live my life changed. So a lot of people do have the money, they just don't understand their spending habits. Honestly.
And when you're on the road, I know in Asia, you taught English, whatnot, but how do you sustain yourself? Many would say, well, what type of job can I have that would allow me to live anywhere in the world? We as marketers and consultants, we have that, but sometimes folks will try to make it seem like, well, that's you and you're special. But I say, I know many people like Laree who are, they're finding themselves in new lands and on new TV shows because they've decided to travel and they, probably have a fuller life. So what are some of the ways that you have found to sustain yourself while being off the plantation that we call the U.S.?
Online. I teach Asian children online, part-time. They have part-time hours and full-time schools and part-time schools. I choose part-time and is able to sustain me pretty well because, again, your lifestyle. In Asia, your money goes really far. You can ball out of control in Asia. That's why I stayed there the longest. I was having a ball. Besides Japan and South Korea, those is a little like, it was a little hurtful. Like, oh, this feel like New York. Let me get up out of here. You do online gigs. A lot of people are freelancers, online teaching. When you get here or you get to different countries, you'll find that a lot of folks are looking for help in terms of businesses, restaurant businesses and marketing and different, trying to reach that tourists or trying to rebrand themselves. They really don't understand how to do it, but they know that's what they need to do. So you become an easy asset for them to employ for a side gig. I like my jobs like 3 to 6 months. I don't really like long-term gigs because I just might jump and leave. So it's just best for me not to have much commitment. But like, it's a different lifestyle because the money is not constant, except online teaching. That's like consistent money. But the other gigs, it's just freelance gigs. You just hustling. Let me see where I'm going to get this next money. I miss the constant check. I do miss that life. But I wouldn't switch it because I like the freedom. Like if I feel like going to work, I go to work today. If I don't feel like going to work, I don't work today. So,
Love it.
it's really that.
Sorry. Laree, with all the travel that you've done, are there any misconceptions being a woman of color in other countries that may have been portrayed differently being from the United States?
Ask that question again.
So are there any misconceptions with being a person of color in another country that may have been portrayed differently in the United States? I've had conversations with people that, well, I wouldn't go to that country because I don't know how they feel about me being somebody of color, for example.
I would say that it will really based on your experience because you can be on the same trip at the same time having 2 different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that before. Like some people would say, "Oh, don't go here, so and so," because they're very racist. And I went there and I was treated like a goddess.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I'm good. Like not to
Right.
say that happened for that person. But
Right.
that wasn't my experience. So a lot of times I don't really. When people tell me about this place, I can only tell you what my experience was, but somebody can go there and have a totally different experience. So we can go there at the same time, and I've had this experience before where folks are on the same trip at the same time, and one is loving it, and one is just like, I hate it here. There's different reasons, or like, how you may be perceived, like even like here,
Mm-hmm.
you may go to Benin and like traveling or like, hold on for a second. Okay. Like going to Benin, you might experience like folks not even understanding the concept of you being American because they never seen you before. They don't understand how you got there. Or like they just understand like why you don't speak French or why you may not speak the native tongue. It's just like, and then there's the education that needs to happen. There's like a dialogue between you that you may not be able to get the person to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might have a great cultural exchange where you get to understand each other and really educate each other on who y'all are as Black people, although you are not from the same place.
Dope.
But not even Black, more than even Black folk. I know, it was in Germany. I think they treat, people like we treat them in the U.S. where everyone speaks German. So they're talking German real fast. Deutsch. I'm like, hold on. I want to be treated different in this situation. Usually we want to blend in, but I want to be treated because I don't understand any German. And so I definitely get that. Now, Laree, you have hinted about a book in previous media outlets. Where are you on that book? When can we expect it?
I really don't know where to end it, and that's my issue. Everyone keeps telling me to make it 2 parts, and I'm just like, I really don't want to make 2 books. So it's in the process. I'm in the middle of it, but I'm really like, because my life just keeps getting more interesting. Whenever I think it's like, all right, I think here would be a great ending, something more crazy happened. It's just like, it should be a great story to tell. I mean, my journey out the different nations, it's been, I might separate it where just talking about my experience in living in Africa versus my experiences living in the other nations outside of Africa. That's what it's leaning towards, because I think that are two different experiences, two different stories, and it can give the continuation that I've been fighting, that I feel like it may be necessary.
So you're one of those author, artist, whatnot, who says the book has to end. Just put it out there so those who need to be inspired, the way in that they need to hear your voice, because now once you write the book, I like to write books. A.L. writes every day something. Then you have the audiobook after. So after you're done with that, it's never going to stop, and people are going to say, we want more, and tell us something in detail about this. But this is where, the royalty checks, whether they be big or small, it'll be a blessing in the life of others and yours when you get the check. So you say 2020, that's how we're going to wrap that one up. 2020, because the book is done.
I like
the book is done. You just got to share it with the world. It's like, you don't want to let everyone see the diary yet, because it's not perfect, and it will never be perfect. It'll never be complete until the story is over. Then who's going to put the book out if you don't?
True. Yeah.
I feel you. I understand. Message received.
Okay. Okay.
I got that one too, Laree. I got that message too. I think I got that message from Kel as well.
Oh, okay. Good. Your book coming out?
You've been pressing me to put out a book for the longest.
All right. So you 2022?
2020 as well.
All right. Y'all heard it now, because it's so easy now. I remember being like 12, having a book I wanted to put out and doing the research and say it's cost $10,000 plus. And now it's a click of a button, and it's quite easy. Especially when you talk about freelancers, like places like Fiverr.com, where anything that you need, if you can't do it yourself, Fiverr can do it for you.
Listen, it's the best thing ever.
Word.
Yes. Now, to talk about, while you are doing, all this traveling and everything, when you like the acting, the modeling, what is your thing that you want to be known for, and what are some projects that you're working on right now?
Well, right now I'm in the process of rebranding. I'm rebranding. You're gonna about to know me for jumping around Africa and teaching people how to do that, and just promoting areas and places within the nation that people may not think they should go to because it's not properly marketed, or it has a negative connotation on whether or not we should be there. Just bridging the gap, being one of the players, because there's a lot of us out here. There's a lot of us coming with this whole December initiative. I'm really glad and happy of the players that created it, because it sparked a movement that was so necessary, and we didn't know how to make it look cool. Because prior to that, whenever you say, oh, I'm going to Africa, or I'm going to, my first trip, I went to South Africa, and I was like, I'm going to South Africa. Why? It was like such a negative energy, negative questions all the time, that I stopped saying it until my money was paid in full. And I was like, oh, I'm going to South Africa. So whatever you say, I don't even want to hear it. The money's paid for. I ain't get my money back. I ain't going. I see you later. And that was that. So now you still have that, but the idea of visiting Africa, picking a country within Africa and visiting, is becoming more nurtured within people's mind and training people's mind. And basically, that's what I've been a part of and want to continue to be a part of.
Is there anything that you prefer more? Just to piggyback off Kel's question, just in terms of being in the arts, actress, model, is there anything that you gravitate towards more? Consulting, teaching.
I am the way I've tailored my life, I have my passion projects in which if I like the project, I'll do it. Whether it's a paid gig or whether it is not a paid gig. If it's not a paid gig, I have to be passionate about it. Whether it's like modeling, acting, if it's something creative, I'll do it. I don't really have anything where I'm just like, oh my God, this is my thing. I've always been good at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I've been great at it, if I care about it, I'll nurture it and be great at it. But that's just been me. Like, I'm doing this, I'm doing here. I get bored, I'm going to the next thing. Like, all right, this was fun. I'll hand it over to somebody. Like, this is your baby now. I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm versatile like that. So I don't know. I just can't pin myself down to one thing like that. It keeps me active. It keeps me meeting new people, challenging myself to see what it is next that I can do.
That's what's up. We were doing some research and saw your reel and like your charisma, your personality. It just shines. I was like, she has the it factor. Like you got that thing, whatever that thing is. I don't know. The Professor X, the X gene.
I like to do my creative stuff, but like if you notice, I just go back into the cave, and I work behind the scenes a lot. There's a lot of projects that people don't know that I've been a part of, and I like to keep it like that.
Okay.
I don't really want the fame, because I'm zany, I'm out there, but I like my privacy. I'm also introverted. When I'm extroverted, I'm extroverted. When I'm not, I don't want to be bothered, and that's that. That's it.
I feel like Laree and I, if we not twins, we're cousins somewhere down the line because I do what I want to do when I want to do it, even in marriage and kids, because people think that holds you back. But we just came back from Kenya, Laree, and brought 30 people for a client of ours for his platform. And my kids are saying, we were just getting off the road for 2 months. And my kid said, hold on, you going without us? And I said, I used to do this all the time, but I got to go when I got to go. And I'm majority here, but I feel that spirit. But while in Ghana, and I know that Nigeria was on the list of yours too, I am the biggest owner of Nigerian movies. Someone who does not sell them. Have they not seen your reel, or have you jumped on a set yet of a Nigerian or Ghana film?
I've been to a few sets, but I have not been in front of the camera. I've done some things in Ghana in terms of like hosting. Like I did a show with hosting, but not in terms of behind the scenes with movie wise. Because the movie industry here is it's a lot different. It's not even a little different. It's a lot different. It's just not my thing yet. Because see, back home, if you're working over a certain amount of time, there's like rules and regulations. There's my time that's going to cost so and so and so. Like here is real different. Like there's no regulations to how they treat you and stuff like that. And I'm just like, if I don't love your project, I'm not going to do it. Like, I don't care. In terms of Nigeria, I've been invited many times. 2020 will be the time I actually go. And the invite was pretty much like, come here, see what you're going to do. Let it pop. And it's just feeling like that. And I'm just like, all right, I'll take.
They're waiting for you on film. Don't shy. I could see it because you see it in their films so many times. A white person will come and they'll just throw them in the movie. Vice actually did a piece on this a couple years ago where one of their guys was actually able to play like a white priest, but they can do it for all Americans. I've seen it just because of the accent and also because of what A.L. said, the it factor, which you've heard your whole life. and it probably has you say, man, I got this it factor. I'm never gonna, sink. I'm always gonna, arise, so I can do what I want to do. And that I could just see there's a role for you. And unlike Hollywood, there's not a lot of boundaries, as you were saying. It's freedom. It's kind of a, shooting in the wild, wild west type style compared to, or, the organization that one may be used to here and the limitations.
Nigeria. I can say that about Ghana because I haven't seen the back end of the Nigerian film industry. I just know that they're the biggest and they kicking behind when it comes to producing films out here. I think they're number one. Are they number one yet?
Nigeria produces more movies, but as far as Hollywood and Bollywood still, have it be just because there's so much money in Hollywood and so much money because of Bollywood. I mean, you're talking about over 1 billion people.
Right.
But I can see it. I'm actually going to something. If you have a new reel, send it to me. I'm going to something next month in Miami that all the TV will be there, and I can just see it. The Ghana films though try to look like Hollywood films sometimes, where they over sexualize. And the beauty of African film was that you could watch it with the whole family. Some of that is changing now, but
there's a lot of American influence in a lot of things here. That I mean, it's gonna happen when you have these type of crossovers. But I hope that they hold on to their culture as we merge and exchange different cultures. People coming from abroad, we're like really vibing. But I really don't want them to lose the concept of who they are, because then it'll defeat the purpose of coming to Ghana. Like, when I'm coming there for it, I do and be the same thing that happens abroad. You know what I mean?
Talk about that. I'm one of those. I'm probably like, always. This is what I tell Black Americans, because, Black Americans will go somewhere once and we know it. And we act like, oh, yeah, even though, the Chris Rock joke of Jamaica, we'll go from the van, from the airport to the resort. And that's all we saw, and say Jamaica's a beautiful country, passing, the worst poverty. But talk about that, because I have had to tell various people, don't go to Africa or any country and act like you're going to teach the people something. Go there to learn and soak it up. But what have you seen, given that this is the year of return? So many Black Americans are in Ghana. Have you seen some embarrassing moments? And what would be your advice to the people when they come?
You're going to have two different types of people. You're going to have those who's going to love it, and those who's going to be like, yeah, this ain't it. I don't know what, this is not it. And that's all acceptable. Some folks are going to feel like this is my home. And then there's going to be some folks that's going to be like, yeah, nah, this is not it. And that's totally okay. What I'm finding with people they're feeling conflicted, thinking differently about the group thought of come back home. It may not be home for you. And that is fine. What I want people to take with them when they come here is just leave the expectation of what you think Africa should be, because a lot of us have been trained to think of certain things that may not be true or different. Like, all the countries are different. The regions are different. Like, this is a whole different type of monster that I'm still learning how to navigate. Unlike many other countries I visited in the past, because you can go, I went to Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, Senegal, Togo, South Africa, and Tanzania so far. And they're all same, but different. How are you going to be treated is different. The tribes, like the languages, the foods are similar but different. Like how this one may navigate eating with your left hand versus not eating with your. You gotta learn like so much when you're interacting and dealing with different cultures here. It's just like, wow. And even within tribes, this is other layers that I've never experienced. So it's just like, you have to be open-minded, else you're not going to like it, or you're not going to be able to blend or interact well with the folks here because it's going to be so much newness that you're just going to clam up and just like have a negative energy towards it. Like I had to learn like, okay, when I'm offending someone and just rush it off like, oh, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I didn't know that because I'm still learning. I'm making mistakes within the process and that's okay. We're going to talk about it. We're going to joke about it afterwards. I'm going to give you why I did what I did. You're going to tell me why you just screamed at me and then we're going to like talk about it and we're going to be friends. It's really that simple. So a lot of folks may take but they should have this, they should have that. We want to be mindful of what we bring in here. We want to be mindful of the charity. I think that's also a problem. People always think they want to give. What are you actually giving? What you're giving, can it be fed days after you left? Then you ain't really doing much. Like with Black folks around the world in general, I think they have to change the way that they think about helping us. A lot of folks want to just give money. Great. But some of us can't be here. Some of us should not even come because you're not going to be any positive energy here. You're not going to do anything worthwhile. Keep your ass home. And that's fine. Those of us who want to actually really build and can withstand what it's like to be in a country as it's developing and changing, fine. Boots to the ground, let's work. Those who cannot send the money for those who can, so they can continue the process and really build it. But the idea of someone else is going to help you build it, no. It has to be Black folks. We are only going to take care of each other like we know how. Other folks are just going to do it, but they're going to do it half-assed.
No, that's real. That's real talk. And what's funny is even when you get there and you start traveling, when you go from West Africa to East Africa, you know, there's differences, but there's also so many similarities. I always tell people Geri in West Africa is Nsima in South and East Africa. And, you know, but people don't know. And even on the continent, they don't know. And it was kind of meant for things to not be known, you know, for the powers that be, to not teach that in anybody's school. That there's so many similarities. Have you learned the local language or the dialect in Ghana?
Everybody always asks me that. Nope, I have not. I learned the slang. I'm trying to learn Pidgin, but I'm failing at it so bad. My problem is I live in God territory and everyone wants me to learn Tree. And I'm just like, but that's not, okay, that can't help me across the borders. Like, at least if I speak Pidgin, I can speak that in Nigeria, Senegal. I can like navigate through different cultures with it, even though for some folks it may not be very feminine. I'm like, whatever, I don't give a damn. We're gonna learn this. As long as we communicate, we good.
But Pidgin even is so different between the English and then the, you know, French speaking. But I always see it as broken up, you know, when we're doing Ebonics. I mean, that's our Pidgin.
I like it because I can at least pick up what you're saying. Even if I don't know the language, through the words of broken English, I can pick up and get the gist of what you're trying to tell me. And we can communicate.
Yeah. Now, here's a question you have probably never been asked on an interview. How many times and how much has a gentleman offered to pay a bride price while you're there in Africa?
I think calm down a lot now. When I first got here, I think my first visit, it was a guy at the airport. When he offered a house and electricity, I was just like, oh, that's cute. When I got to Ghana, right in immigration, it was just like, you want a husband with your visa? It was like cute joke. When I told my age, and they really like, nah, we're gonna get you married today. Today. Nah, they don't play with that marriage stuff. They want you married quicker than now.
No time for courtship. And I've thought of actually doing a tour there for women out here who really want to get married bad. Oh, we do some African tours.
Popping up with that, honey. Listen, it's about to be lit. Matchmaking, 90 Day Fiance is about to be on.
Yeah. And has somebody offered the house. Were you prepared for that when coming, or was it a shock? Was it offensive? What are your feelings?
At first, I was like, what the hell? But then I thought, like, okay, where I am, that may be like an honor, because hey, I can afford to buy you a house with electricity. Like, what's good? Like, I'm gonna treat you well. At first it was like, what? And then I just laughed about it, like, boy, bye, like, I'm good. He said, I'll even give you a cell phone. I'm like, I already have those things, but thank you. And then we got upgraded to business class. It was great. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I ain't mad at it.
I learned not to take offense to it. I've learned that's the culture. Like, if someone likes you, that's what they're going to do. They're going to present themselves as, how can I court you into a marriage? It's not like back home where there's like the dating process. For some places, you might have it, but it's really short. Like, when somebody decides they want to marry you, it's all about saving up to make sure you have a life that they want you to be able to have and paying the bride price. And some guys don't even have a woman now, but they like, I need to have a good job so I can save for marriage.
Wow.
It's the thing, saving for marriage. Because you have to be able to take care of your wife and the future children.
Yeah, that needs to be contagious all through the U.S.
Right? Listen. They're saving so they can be able to afford to have a family. It's costly.
Yeah. Okay. And I just asked that because of the circles you may be in, and people see, Lisa Ray and say, man, can she find a prince everywhere she goes, or somebody? But it's
she done got embarrassed with that guy. When you find the ending to that story, I didn't follow up. I just saw it quick on Twitter. I was just like, oh Lord.
No, but she it's like her second time of finding somebody, she's like the Meghan Markle, and she can go everywhere. But I find even funny story doing this big gospel conference or award show, whatever it was. And a lot of the gospel Black women love Italy because the men want to get married just like the African men on day one. And I said, so where's your ring? Because here we are, at the gospel thing. But, you find when you do church professionally, sometimes that folks are the same inside and out, where, want to have a good time, want to be treated right, just want to be spoiled, because in the States, that's a little difficult to do. But even how you receive it can be even different. Someone come up to you in Brooklyn, hey, I want to buy you a house.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, word.
I mean, especially with American guys, because they don't really talk about a future with you if they're not serious about you. Like, but it can be game though. Here it's both ways. You have those that's serious, and you have those that's just spitting game. Like, just want to get you in bed, or like you will find that they will say what they need to say. I mean, it's real common. It could be a guy that's looking to date you, or a guy that's really looking seriously trying to marry you. But a lot of them fail or don't do very well because you don't know each other. You didn't take any time to actually know, do I even like you? That takes a little time. I mean, at least that first date. Like, but folks, they jump into these marriages pretty fast.
Do you find that they last?
The divorce rate here is pretty high because in some cases, again, you don't know each other. You're getting married because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you was told to do. This guy looks good on paper. His family looks good. You look good on paper. Your family is good. Y'all can afford to be together. He can afford the bride price. Y'all get married. What I'm finding is a lot of people do not live with their spouses. A lot of them live abroad. A lot of them, I don't know, it's just unhappily married. It's a lot of jumping around here, but because it's like 1 degree of separation. So in my age group, everybody married. So it's really challenging for me to date here because if they're not married, they're 2 years old. And I'm just like, I don't have anything to relate to this little kid here that thinks I'm a kid because I look like I'm 2. So it's been really challenging. I'm about to that's another reason why I'm going to dip out and explore more because I need to see and experience some other cultures with some men my age, hopefully, that are not married or 2 years old.
He's over 2 years old.
R2, yeah, it's R2. Well, when you dip before you go dip to like when you go to Nigeria and if you go see Cameroon, let me know. That's the second home, if not the first. But it'll be a bunch of men who in French will woo you, in French and in English and whatnot. Bride price when you try to cross the border. The bride price will be already set. All type of cows and deeds to houses and everything. So that's awesome. A.L, you have a question?
Yes, I do. So, Laree, with the guests that we have here on Diversified Game, we definitely like to peel the layers back. And not too long ago, you had this bit about giving and, being cognizant of giving. Do you have a give back in terms of like charity, or are there any causes that really tickle your fancy or that you're really passionate about?
I don't do charity. I like to call it, what can I call it? I'll do service work. Like when I'm working with companies or brands that I feel like are really impactful, it's usually with things that's like teaching children or the college kids, like girls, what is it? Damn it, hold on. Girls Who Code, even Code, Girls Who Code. I think it's Girls Who Code.
Girls Who Code, yeah, that's a real one.
Yeah, it's a real one, right? It's here, right?
It's like it's spread. I'm in Seattle. That thing is spread. There's like branches all over.
Okay.
There's Black girls that code as well. I mean, it's
right. Stuff like that. Teaching the youth actual skills that's going to actually help them compete in the world and actually give them something after you're gone. Like I do work with a lot of businesses and charities and initiatives. Like before when I got here, mental health was not something that people understood, even acknowledged, and thought it was just like, that's stupid. He's just like, you know what I mean? They didn't really understand like the concept of taking care of your mental health. Folks said that wouldn't change. It's changing. The conversation's starting to happen. There's lots of initiatives around it. I volunteered with the group to like get the conversation normalized. That's what it really is, right? It wasn't really normal for them to even talk about mental health, and I'm seeing a great difference in that conversation and more businesses, people taking it serious and talking about it. Depression, it didn't have a word in tree to talk about depression. So how are you supposed to relate that to people? What are they supposed to talk about? You know what I mean? So I'm really happy like those initiatives and folks that's coming to build are giving real progress and real tools that can go far and long besides a charity giving you clothes and some food. Like, teach them how to farm. Like you'll actually build resources that will actually be sustainable like long after you're gone.
Now, you said teach them how to farm. Where does a New Yorker learn how to farm?
Resources to farm. Just like nurturing the land, teaching about soil. Like some places, what was it? I forgot the company's name. They were in Kenya. They were going to the outskirts and giving them tools, resources, responsible farming. And it's wish I can remember the name.
And that's a big thing. And anybody who, does mental health here, whether, that word in America, you could have a high school diploma and do mental health, or you could have a PhD, MD. But in most of Africa, I mean, that was considered witchcraft. But it's funny because growing up, we would be called, just crazy. There was no depression. Oh, that boy's just crazy, or,
Right, that's what comes here. You're just crazy. And changing that conversation is what we experienced in our past when we didn't know about mental health.
Yeah. So okay. Well, so you have a lot more to teach and resources to give. So that means you have a lot of books to, write. So it's just gonna be back to back on those books and DVDs to help the people, because I think there's going to be a mass migration of people back to Africa of all colors, but Black folk need to go see their roots, because that's part of just, that's what everybody does to feel whole. So I can't wait for part 2, round 2. I know that I want to have you on some other shows if you'd be so kind. So watch out for those emails, whatnot.
I'm here.
Yeah, you about to get it. It's on film. You're about to get it. So I want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
I want to leave the audience with this. I noticed that everybody's being inspired to trace their roots, and I'm glad to hear that. But I want them to be very conscious to use only AfricanAncestry.com solely, because it's the only particular company that will actually trace you to your actual country and your actual tribe. Unlike the other ones that will just give you your 50% West African. No shit. Like that particular one is Black owned. They don't sell your DNA. And no, I don't get paid for them. I just want to educate the people so they make the proper choice with this particular information. And that's what I want to leave the people with.
Well, thank you for being so kind, and thank the host for being so quiet, and especially that baby, because babies do what babies do. And
he's not feeling it. He was upset. I'm just like, Lord.
Oh man. Well, until next time, y'all, we have given you the game on how to make it and travel abroad with Laree Thomas. Check her out. All her info will be in the description box. LareeThomas.com. Be blessed.
Thank you, guys. Peace.